Hey everyone, Mystical Mark here. So this will be your astrology energy forecast for the week of September 10th to the 16th of 2023. This week we have the new moon in Virgo and Mercury going direct. So let's jump right into it. All right, so let's get started here. Apologies for no video last week. I wasn't really feeling well when the time came to actually record and do the video. And then of course I had to go back to work to my day job. So I didn't really have an opportunity to do that video. Of course, the major things that kind of happened, just to kind of go over that, was obviously Venus went direct and Jupiter is now retrograde. So we may touch on some of that later in this video. There's some of the transits, but I just want to keep this a bit short and sweet for this week. There really aren't many major transits happening. So yeah, let's kind of get started here. So on Sunday, again, there's nothing really peaking this day. I mean, the moon comes into Leo. I'm not going to go over the moon too much. I just want to focus on the kind of the major transits that are peaking. So we'll kind of move on towards Monday here, September the 11th. So now on this day, we're going to have the sun here in Virgo in quincunx to Chiron in Aries. So Sun in Virgo, obviously we're dealing with a focus on, our day-to-day lives. This can deal with health, stress, our schedules, like the little nitpicky things, the little things, all that kind of stuff. Remember, we've got Mercury here as well in retrograde still. Mercury will be going direct at the end of the week. We'll talk more about that when that happens. So with this quincunx to Chiron, remember, this is kind of illuminating. Remember, quincunxes, they can be frustrating. It can feel like it's one or the other. And remember, there's a kind of integration that needs to happen surrounding that. This is within our day-to-day lives, our day-to-day schedule, our health, those kinds of Virgo and related themes. With this Chiron here in Aries, with these wounds to our self-identity. Chiron is, of course, retrograde, so this is very internally focused, things that have maybe previously happened to us, that kind of wounding that's happening where we kind of feel uneasy. And there's a frustration with this in our day-to-day lives, maybe as we try to move in new directions, right? Remember, Mercury is still retrograde here. We've got a lot of other planets retrograde, so the idea is to kind of like slow things down, to be more internally focused. So maybe it's realizing where we need to make these changes to make ourselves, feel healthier, and even to like heal a lot of this stuff within ourselves. Like there's certain frustrations that may come up, but there may be this integration that needs to happen in order for this kind of healing to happen. So that kind of peaks on Monday here. Of course, obviously, quincunxes have kind of like a short window, but remember, these things build and fall between, the days prior and days after as well. All right, so let's kind of skip ahead here to Tuesday the 12th. And again, nothing really major happening here. Moon is coming into Virgo, so we're getting ready for that new moon coming up. Of course, moon doesn't enter into Virgo until later into the day. If we move on to the 13th, again, no major transits peaking, just the typical stuff going on. Remember, just because there's no transits peaking doesn't mean that nothing is happening. We've still got all of this retrograde energy. We've still got, everything kind of going on in the background. There's still minor transits that I'm not even going to touch on just because I don't want these videos to be very long. And you know what, maybe at some point later on I can look more into that. But I just want to be focused on kind of the major stuff that is happening during the week for these videos. So nothing major peaking on Wednesday. But when we get into Thursday here, so we'll skip ahead to the 14th, this is the big day with the new moon in Virgo. So you can see there, it's happening later into the day, around 7:40 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. So we have the sun moon conjunct there, new moon in Virgo at 21 degrees. So again, these new moons represent like a new beginning. The full moons are a release. These new moons are the start of something new. So we kind of have to take into consideration, these themes of Virgo, right? This is our day-to-day lives, our day-to-day schedules. It's going to deal with aspects of health, organization, things of that nature. We're kind of starting fresh and new in these areas. And we kind of think, September is the month where, everybody's back to school, all of this stuff is happening. Of course, that has already happened. Like that happens back at the beginning of the month, and it's already the 14th. But maybe just because of all these retrogrades, these delays, especially with Mercury retrograde in Virgo, there may have been delays of things like happening or fully being ready prior to this point, right? And maybe we needed to take a look at those situations and those things that were happening during that time, right? Because remember, we had Venus still retrograde, now Venus is direct, so we could have had changes or realizations of changes maybe in relationships, in careers, in money stuff that's going on, and we're trying to just get all our stuff together, right? So this new moon in Virgo is kind of signifying this new energy, maybe this new organization that word just kind of popped into my head, this new organizational way where we're finally, we've taken the time to rework all of this stuff. Virgo likes to, keep things clean and neat and bring things back to their pristine state. So maybe it took some extra time to get to that point, and now we're kind of into that new space. We've kind of realized a lot with all these retrogrades that have started or some that have stopped, like in the case of Venus, and moving forward again. And with Mercury here actually basically almost dead stopped, because Mercury will be coming direct basically the following day, so on the 15th, right? So we've got this new moon in Virgo, Mercury's dead stopped. It's like, all right, we're ready to kind of start anew. I think we've gone over these spaces, we've gone over this stuff. We're kind of ready to jump and shift ahead, which then of course brings us to the 15th. Now, this is almost kind of I would almost say the biggest day of the week. So the new moon kind of really leads into this, because this is the day where we have most of the transits actually peaking here, is on this Friday, September 15th. So Mercury is going to come direct on this day, 2:20 p.m. Mountain Standard Time on this Friday. So you can actually see in the chart there, the degrees of Mercury there are no longer red in Virgo. But we still obviously have a lot of other planets retrograde there. So Mercury is coming direct. So we're now going to see this movement forward. So we've gone over this old ground, this old space in Virgo. And so now we've really seen what we've needed to fix. So if we haven't taken action on that already, it's going to be time to move forward. This could be regarding our health as well, our schedules, day-to-day lives. Things are going to be shifting here. So the transit, and one of kind of the transits I want to start with here is with the Sun trine Uranus. So Sun in Virgo at 22 degrees, trine Uranus at 22 degrees in Taurus. So Uranus is now retrograde. So we're kind of taking a step back and realizing, maybe where we need to make changes. And with Uranus and Taurus, this could be in Virgo. In Virgo. Oh my God. This could be, Mercury retrograde acting on my mind. Take this video with a grain of salt, okay? All right, so with Uranus in Taurus, this is Venus themes, career, relationships, money. But this is also, with Taurus, it's what feels good. Taurus doesn't want to change very easily. It wants to see value in things, right? When it does change. So with Uranus here, it wants to shake things up. It wants to, change in this radical direction that is going to make us feel better, that is going to have us, better stability probably, and maybe even instability, right? Because it is Uranus, this transition period, when we do this change, it may not be stable, but it may lead us to a place of stability, maybe once Uranus goes direct. So there's this kind of place of where, these changes may be happening. And with this Sun trine this area, this is a trine, so this is a positive shift. So even though it may seem unstable, there may be a stability that's kind of hidden in the background here in Taurus with these shifts and these changes, because the Taurus can see the value in trying to do some kind of change, that may be necessary to happen, especially since through this Mercury retrograde, we've had time to think about this Venus retrograde in Leo. So anything that was unaligned with our heart, we've realized what needs to fall away in that sense. We need to realize where we need to let our own light shine in our relationships, our career, those kinds of areas in our lives. right? We do kind of have like this Venus Juno kind of stuff going on. So on this day too, we have Juno in square to Jupiter, which is also in Taurus, and Jupiter is now retrograde. So is Jupiter retrograde? A lot of people think with Jupiter retrograde, oh, that's when your luck runs out. Well, not necessarily. Just remember, with retrogrades, it's internally focused. So, and we're going over this old ground. So while Jupiter was, drumming on ahead and moving forward, with it retrograde, we're now going over the things that maybe we have missed with Jupiter and Taurus. Where was the abundance that we missed in Taurus, right? Taurus is money. Taurus is our feel-good stuff. Taurus doesn't like to move very fast. So at this slowing down of Jupiter here, we may be, taking our time to smell the roses, to eat the good food, to, just take a moment to see where we can expand our abundance, see where we can expand in these areas that we've never really even looked at before. And of course, with this square to Juno now in Leo, it's kind of like, with Juno, it's like these relationships, but in Leo, it's like, are they aligned with our heart? And Leo kind of brings things into center stage. So it's like these partnerships, these relationships. And I say relationships because Juno can represent obviously committed partnerships, committed relationships. It could be business partnerships and things as well. With this square, this pushes for action in some way. So you're going over this old ground and you're trying to find this feel-good type of abundance in some area, but this may be going back to a previous state, or understanding, we're seeing where abundance was, where we never actually saw it before, where we've already been. And the square is pushing for actions. This could be building new relationships, new partnerships, and also breaking old ones in a sense as well, and pushing forward, into these new spaces and new directions. But at the very least, this is going to be bringing up some aspect of friction in this area to see where we kind of really need to shift and change. And Jupiter is expanding. Remember, Jupiter expands whatever it touches, even if it's retrograde. All right, it's just going over this old space. So with this square, this is this push to expand, maybe in our partnerships, business partnerships, any kinds of those areas, and bring things to light into these areas. Remember, both Taurus and Leo, they want nice things, right? And with Leo, it's the space of unconditional love, being in your heart, right? So you don't want to be stuck where you're not feeling good, where you're not kind of in that space. So it's very much an expansion on that and what needs to kind of shift. Remember, with the Sun trine Uranus here, that's with a shift. There's a very positive shift in our day-to-day lives and shaking things up, but for the good. Right, there may be an aspect of instability, but we're going to know and understand as we move forward, as we make these changes, that that will become more stable, maybe into the future. Kind of once we realize some things here. Also on this day, we're going to have Pluto in quincunx to Black Moon Lilith. Black Moon Lilith is also at the end of Leo there. Pluto is, of course, at the end of Capricorn. So this can bring up frustrations in where we want to shift and transform, and the stuff that's being brought up in terms of aspects of control. This can deal with career as well as our goals as well. That's also what Capricorn rules, and also these corporations and their top-down aspects of control, and where we want to transform, and where we're really seeing through the bullshit at this point, and kind of seeing, what really does need to change. But there's a frustration there, and where we may have felt like outcast, right? Lilith is like this divine feminine energy that has felt outcast, and in Leo, it's being brought to the center stage, and it wants to feel loved, this space of unconditional love, this space of this recognition. But with Leo, it's this masculine, this fire sign energy, this drive to maybe, put things out there. So we may see there's a frustration here that may happen. We possibly could see certain things coming out or coming to light in a certain sense of where that feminine may have felt repressed or controlled. Pluto brings things to the surface, remember. So we may see some of that stuff, but there's a frustration here involving these two kinds of energies, or maybe an integration that needs to happen with these crumblings and these changes to these structures that need to happen in order for that inner divine feminine rebel to actually come out of us and actually feel the love that she has always kind of deserved. So there could be an integration or something that needs to kind of shift and change and happen into that space. So I think Friday is kind of like the big day this week. Of course, we obviously have the new moon in Virgo the prior day, but this Friday here is kind of the huge push forward. It's like once you have that new moon, you're kind of like, all right, it's a new beginning. And then holy crap, the Friday comes in, Mercury's direct, and things start shifting and moving. So I think the first kind of most of this week, we're really kind of, there's not many major transits hitting or happening. Mercury's really slowing down. All these other planets are retrograde. And then by the end of this week, we're really going to be shifting and pushing forward from the middle of this month, obviously from 15th onwards. If we move ahead now to Saturday, we've got nothing major peaking on this day at all whatsoever. So anyways, that's all I have for this week, guys. Again, sorry for no video last week, but hopefully we'll kind of keep up to the schedule now. If you like this video, you know what to do. If you didn't like it, you also know what to do. Feel free to comment. Any feedback is always appreciated. Subscribe if you want more from me. But thank you very much for watching. Hope everyone has a great week. Take care. Bye for now. Bye.